Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Narc Free Formula. My name is Freedom. Thank you for joining me. Today's episode, I wanted to talk about something that keeps kind of coming up, is about people's feelings. And I wanted to be really, really clear because I think a few of my viewers are writing to me and saying things like, they feel really silly or they feel really embarrassed or ashamed. And I want to explain a few things about the process that we go through with narcissistic abuse. Because unlike normal abuse, all right, how do I put this? When you know someone is being abusive, when you know wrong has been done to you, it's a lot easier to process, to go through the emotions associated with the experience. So, you get anger and you get, hurt or grief or whatever. But what you don't get, and you do get with narcissistic abuse, is this kind of horrible cognitive dissonance, where the brain is so confused because for such a long time you believed one thing about a person only to then have it revealed that no, they were actually a con artist and a trickster and a fraud. And so the brain has, it takes a while for the brain to process all of that. And unfortunately, due to the way the brain's wired, occasionally, you'll be triggered into thinking, oh, that's right. Remember, we were so in love back then, and that kind of thing. Whereas the reality is you weren't in love back then. Okay. You may have been, he wasn't. He was committing fraud, essentially, emotional fraud. So this is, I just want people to understand and be really clear that one thing, you are not alone. We all go through these stages and these feelings. We may not go through them in the exact same process or the exact same time or sequence, but we all go through them without a doubt. We all experience some or all of what you're experiencing right now. So you are not alone. So just know that you're not alone. This is part of recovery from narcissistic abuse. And some of the emotions that you're going to experience are things like, as I said, feeling embarrassed. Embarrassed that how could this happen to you? That you should have seen it coming, that you should have known better. And with hindsight, you can look back and you see all the red flags that you chose to ignore. And so there's a lot of kind of berating of the self. You kind of say to yourself, how could I have done that to myself? How could I have ignored those signs? Ignored those red flags, ignored those signals. But this is the thing, this is hindsight in action. When you're in a situation where a love fraud is being you're in the middle of a love fraud, there is no way of really being able to figure that out. I mean, you are being bombarded on every level, emotionally, sexually, mentally, psychologically. They are coming at you with everything, and they are watching you. And as soon as you start to figure something out, they'll give you a good dose of love bombing again to make sure you get compliant again. I mean, this fraud and deception, it is tailor-made for you, specifically for your likes, dislikes, the way you think, the way you feel. I mean, it really is, it's a con. It's a huge con, the magnitude of which you'll only really realize as you progress through your journey of recovery. And that is what we are doing, is we are recovering. Because when you were in it, there was no way of knowing what was happening. And for most of us, we didn't actually know what had happened until after the event, until afterwards when we managed to step out of it and witness our soulmates or, our till death do us part, husbands or whatever, doing the exact same stuff and saying the exact same stuff that they did and said with us to someone else that they've known for 3 weeks, or 2 days. I mean, so it's hard. So you're going to experience, things like embarrassment. You experience hurt, and you're going to feel anger as well, because, how could someone who said that they loved you, how could they hurt you, abuse you, lie to you, manipulate you, con you? How could they do that? But that's the thing, they didn't love you, and that's why they could do all of those things. They didn't love you, and they don't love anyone. It's not just about you, it's about them and their capacity to love, or their lack of capacity to love, should I say. I mean, sociopaths, narcissists, and psychopaths, I mean, this is what they do. They are parasitic by their very nature. They live off their hosts. They feed. They take advantage of people. They use. And when you go into a relationship with them, you are giving them everything, all your love, just everything, all your trust. I mean, why would anyone think, why would you think that someone was conning you? Of course you're not going to think someone's conning you, which is why you're the perfect victim, because most people don't think when they get involved with someone, most people don't think, well, what's their angle? What do they want from me? Most people just kind of fall head over heels in love, without kind of practicing due diligence, without, really watching and observing what's going on. But as I said, when you are out of the situationship and you can see it for what it is, you see all of that behaviour, all of the behaviour and everything that it actually meant, and none of it was what you thought it was, which is why you feel silly, which is why you feel embarrassed. But normal healthy individuals don't do this kind of thing to each other. They don't commit love frauds. So yes, you may have been taken advantage of, but that doesn't make you silly. It just makes you human. This is a very human condition, being taken advantage of by someone. All right, so getting back to the feeling. So you may experience feeling embarrassed, hurt, angry. You may feel bewildered by it. You may feel just complete and utter denial. Like, no, that just can't be possible. It can't be people like that out there. But the longer you stay away from the narcissist, the more you will see and witness that, yes, their behaviour actually does show you that they have the capacity and they are like that. They are exactly like that. And as I said, when they're in a situationship with another person and you can see it from a distance, it all makes so much more sense. And so when you watch videos and you listen to people like me, just know this. Just know that even I have my moments where I get caught up in cognitive dissonance, when my brain starts thinking, oh, her dad, because I've got a child with the ex, so I might, I have moments where I think, oh, her dad would really like to see that photo or whatever. Cognitive dissonance. I mean, he doesn't give two shits, because if he did, well, not because if he did, just because he's a narcissist. He just doesn't care, as all narcissists. They don't care about them, anyone but themselves. That's all there is to it. But my point is not about him. It's about the cognitive dissonance that I go through, and this is what I, study and research. This is what I know. And yet I still have my brain playing the same tricks that your mind is doing on you. So don't think, that you're alone in the way you feel. And even I watch my own videos. I'm not joking. At times, there is one in particular that I will watch that when I'm feeling weak or as I said, caught up in my own cognitive dissonance, thinking that, the other parent should know about this, I actually watch one of my own videos to snap myself out of it. Okay, so we all need someone to remind us at times. It doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person. Okay, none of what you have done is bad or wrong. Okay, none of what you've done has been to manipulate or con. Everything you have done is just be a human being in love. And unfortunately, the person that you were in love with was, a con artist and a fraud, and by his very nature, who will destroy everything he ever comes in contact with. And do you know how I know that? I know it to be a fact because if you think about the amount of love you had for that person, if they can take that love and fuck it up, they can destroy anything. Okay, so they will. That's one thing you need to know. Don't think, oh, it's you, and no, it's not you. It's really not you. It never was you. It's always just about them, their programming, their disorder, their maladaptive way of, moving through the world. So, not about you at all. Anyhow, getting back to the emotions. So, my last point is that if you do feel like your emotions are too overwhelming, I suggest that you do talk to a counsellor or talk to someone one-on-one. I'm always open, obviously. I've said this before in my videos, if anyone wants a one-on-one consultation with me, the link's are always in the description. But if you want to talk to someone, face-to-face in your area, I suggest that you do. It's important that we deal with the fact that something really bad has happened to us. This is not a normal breakup. Breakups are hard, right? But this is not your normal breakup. We need to process what has happened here so that we don't carry it on into our future, or so that our sense of self is not tainted by this. I don't want anyone to feel like what happened to them was somehow a reflection of them as a person. Okay? It's like, when you get mugged, for example. When, you've been mugged, you're a victim. You don't think, oh, maybe I brought it on, because I was wearing, these clothes and carrying this expensive purse. And, we don't blame ourselves for that kind of thing. But with narcissistic abuse, because we have been trained by our abuser to take everything on as being our fault and our responsibility, even when we are no longer with them, we still think that it is our responsibility what has occurred, or that we're somehow to blame, or if we'd done it differently, or if we'd seen the signs. No, none of it. Okay? None of it is your responsibility. You're not to blame for what has occurred. What has occurred is a crime. It's a fraud, and you have been victimized. So please, if your emotions are, if you're really struggling with this stuff, please seek out some one-on-one help. Do the work now. Don't carry it through, as I said, into your next relationship or, into the rest of your life. I mean, for some people, it's really hard to recover from this kind of abuse because it affects our sense of self. It affects our ability to, the way we think about people and relationships, and we don't trust our own ability, to choose people and to be safe in relationships. So do some work around that stuff so that it doesn't carry on into the future. Because you can't help what they've already stolen from you. You can't help that they took the time that they did and all the, the years and the youth and whatever that they stole from you. You can't get any of that back. But what you can do is make sure that they don't steal any more of your time. Okay? Your future can be a beautiful, narc-free future. But the only way you're going to get there is if you do the work around these emotions. And as I said, just remember, me and everyone else who's on this channel, and all the other narcissism channels and groups and support groups and networks, all of those people have been through the exact same thing. And yet we all feel so isolated in our experience, as though, how could it have happened to me? It's not just happening to you. It's happened to a lot of people. Okay? All right, lovelies. Yeah. As I said, just work on those emotions. It's important that you deal with this stuff. Don't take it on board. You are a beautiful person. All right. Thank you for watching. Bye.